All right. Good morning, everybody. For today's video, we're gonna be looking at destructuring in JavaScript. So it's gonna be a quick one, but hopefully you're gonna learn a little bit. Yeah, so let's get right into it. We're gonna have a look at object destructuring, array destructuring. It's basically two main things to do, and then a couple of nice things. One is having default values when destructuring, renaming the variables, the rest operator, and the spread operator. Spread is not really, it's not really connected to destructuring, but for me, it's a similar concept. So I'm just going to quickly go over that as well. Okay, let's start with object destructuring. We're gonna have so for this video, I'm just gonna use Node.js. If you want to code along, make sure that it is installed. If not, go to nodejs.org and you can install it. Okay, well, destructuring. So that is used when dealing with object or arrays. So let's create one object. Just gonna have an object of my favorite things. So food maybe is salad, trying to be very healthy. And then drinks or drink. I like green tea, even though I started drinking coffee, which is good. But yeah. Okay, so we have this. Okay, maybe give it a couple of more. Color. Really don't know. Season, probably summer, I would say. What else is there? Yeah, I think that's good enough for now. Okay, so let's say I want to use a variable, let's say food, right? Console log, and then I would usually go for favorites.food. Okay, let's try that. Node index.js. By the way, I just have one index.js and running that with Node. So yeah, this works perfectly fine. But maybe if you always have to type favorites in front of the variable or in front of the property, then that's gonna be a bit cumbersome after a while because you're going to type favorites.food, favorites.drink, favorites.color, and so on. So with destructuring, you can actually pull one or all of the properties from an object. So let's try that. We're going to say const. So we're creating a new variable, let's say, food, and see the curly braces, but they're not on the right side as with the normal object, but on the left side of an assignment. And then we're just going to say favorites, right? So what that does is it's pulling food out of the object favorites and creating a new variable with that. So now I can log that variable food, and then it gives me salad still. So that's working. Perfect. Now, if I want more, I can use comma, or separate all the properties with commas. And then I can also pull my favorite drink. Okay, let's try that. Favorite drink is tea and favorite food is salad. Perfect. I think that is the gist of it. So for object destructuring, this is how you do it. You can also use that with imports. I think I mentioned that in the last video. So you can go const my function is require, and then my module.js, something like that. If you would have a file that exports a function with this variable, you can import only that. Okay. If you want to know more about that, feel free to watch that video. But I think that should be okay. All right. Let's continue with arrays. So here, as this is an object and the properties are marked by the key, meaning food is always going to be food. Doesn't matter if it's up there or down here, right? Now, if I have, let me quickly, yeah, let's say plants. Let's say have an array of plants, right? And then we're gonna have, okay, well, Christmas tree. I'm really not good with this kind of stuff. Probably should have picked something else, but yeah, still. Okay. Sunflower. Oops. Sunflower. What else do we have? Grass. Maybe. Geez, I really don't know. Roses or rose. Okay, perfect. That's enough. That's well, here also there's probably a scientific or more elaborate name for that, but I think we're just gonna go with that. Okay, and then let's say I just want to pull the first one. I can do so with also going with the brackets, so same for the array on the left side, and then putting the plants on the right side. And then I can call that however I want to, right? Because arrays, they don't have keys, so, not like objects, but here it's just the order, right? That is important. So you would have Christmas tree in the first order. We can pull the first plant, and then let me quickly comment this, and then if when we run that, we have the first plant, which is a Christmas tree. Perfect. And then we can keep going. Second plant, third plant, and so on. So you can do that. Okay, third plant was grass. Very nice. And this is how you do destructuring with arrays. Now let's touch on the remaining points here. Hopefully they're not gonna take too long. Default values. Okay, well, there might be the case. Actually, okay, wait, maybe one more thing. In case you're dealing with React, you might have come along use state, right? The hook. So let's say just use state const is visible, and then set visible or something like that, and then you use a state. This is actually destructuring, right? So you can, well, you are doing destructuring already. You might not have noticed that, but you are. If you want, you can state array. You can go something like that, and then just log what you're gonna get, right? Or log the state array, and then you're gonna see it is an array, and probably it has two values. The first one being your current state, and the second one being the function to change that state. But yeah, that just on the side. Okay, let's go back to default values. So default values might come in handy. Let's say, okay, let's go back to this here. Let's say I want to pull my favorite dog, right? But there is no favorite dog declared. So if I run that, it's going to say, okay, dog is undefined. All right, yeah, that was expected. So I can give a default value, and that is just with the equal sign, and then just Frenchie. And then if there is no property called dog, then it's going to take that default value. But as soon as I give it a value, so maybe husky, oops, there we go. It's going to take that given value, right? So yeah, this is a very nice thing that you can use. Maybe, yeah, let's say you have a function that, or an error handler or error message that should be visible for a certain amount of time. So function display error, and then you have the message, and then maybe even options. But yeah, I'm just going to have duration, and then you have a default duration, right? So you can display the error. Okay, well, okay, this is actually not destructuring, same concept still with the default value. Something bad happened. Okay, there we go. But yeah, same concept. And then that would be, the duration would be 3000. So this works similar with the destructuring. And you can combine that with the functions, but okay, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked here. Okay, now for the array, that works as well, but it's only, well, that's not really feasible, because as I said, it is determined by the order, but you can still have a default value here, and when you give it an empty array, it's going to take that first color, let's call it maybe, and you give it an empty array of colors, and then you say the default value of the first color should be red. So you can use that there, but as I said, usually you're going to have something that is like an array that has actual values inside. Okay, but now you know. Renaming. Okay, renaming. Well, let's say you have your favorites object, and then you have another variable called food. So you don't want to use the variable food here. What you can do is you can rename that with a colon. So here I'm going to rename that to favorite food, right? And now food, well, food is not going to be defined anymore. That's going to give us an error. There we go. It's not defined. But favorite food, oops, let me remove that E here. Favorite food is now defined, right? And that has the value of favorites.food. That comes in quite handy. And similarly, you can combine that and say dog is my favorite dog breed, maybe, and then this is going to be accessible, right? So renaming and then default value. There we go. And then that might be helpful because the scope, the naming might be dependent on the scope. So the scope inside an object is smaller, let's say, right? Because you don't need to go favorite food and then favorite drink and so on, right? Because then the object itself is called favorite, so that would be yeah, a little bit of double the work. But yeah, if you pull it out of the object, it might be helpful to actually rename that. For the array, it doesn't really make sense because you can give the name anyway, so you can call that however you want. Here again, the order is important. Good. Now let's let's move on to the REST operator. The the REST operator is to pull all the remaining properties out of an object or an array. So let's say I have only pulled the favorite food so far. Well, food, renamed it to favorite food, but I also want to get the remaining keys. Here we could still access that from favorites, but sometimes that's helpful when passing an object to a function or something like that. So the REST operator is always at the end, right? Because you pull one value, two values, whatever, and then you just say, okay, all the remaining values or properties go into that new object that is called remaining favorites. And then you can see it's going to be an object with everything except for food, right? So we pull that out, and then the remaining ones are there. Very nice. Similarly, you can remaining plants, first plant, okay. and then plants. Similarly, you can do the same thing with the array also in the end. So we're going to pull the Christmas tree out, and then we're going to have all the remaining plants in this new array. Well, maybe call that plant instead of plang. Okay, there we go. The first plant is Christmas tree, and the remaining plants are sunflower, grass, and rose. Okay. Now, final thing is the spread operator. It doesn't, it's not 100% connected to the destructuring, but as I said, it's similar. So I'm just going to quickly go over that. Let's say you do have an object. Well, you want to create an object, right? Const foods is, and then you say favorite food, and then const other foods. It's just gonna have an object. I don't know really. Breakfast is eggs. Oops. Eggs. Lunch is sandwich, and then dinner is gonna be a curry or something like that. Okay. And then we want to create an object with the favorite food and then all of the other foods. So what I do is I create a new object, put the favorite food inside, and then I can spread all the other foods. Okay. There we go. Let me log that. And then, we have the foods with favorite food and then the breakfast. And this is quite handy to merge objects, to create new objects without typing all of the properties manually. Okay, and you can do the same thing with the array. So I'm just going to do that in line here, and then spread all the remaining plants. Right, so I don't have all the plants, just remaining plants. Well, this is an array, but still, just as an example. Gonna create. Well, maybe have. Okay, I'm gonna have to think of a new plant. Blueberry. Yeah, that's a plant, I guess. Well, the tree, or I don't know what that is, but yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna create a new array with blueberry, and then all of the remaining plants that I had here. And yeah, this is how it works. Just maybe one more thing. If you have two objects, let's say two objects that it doesn't apply to the array, but the objects, let's say you have other foods, right? So you're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then you also spread another object. I'm just going to do that in line here, and you're going to say breakfast is now oats instead of eggs. So the last one always has a precedent over the previous one, right? So if I log that, now you can see the breakfast is oats, and that is obviously because there can only be one property with the same name, right? There can only be one breakfast, one property called breakfast in an object. And spreading null or undefined will not do anything. So if I have this here, it's not going to do anything, right? And actually, I think it doesn't matter what it is. If it's a primitive value, it's not gonna do anything. So I have a is 5, and I spread a, since it's not an object, it's not gonna do anything, right? So, but this is quite handy. I mean, for normal primitive values like integer or string, it doesn't well, I didn't have the case that much, but sometimes you receive a parameter that is null, and then it's good to know that this doesn't throw an error, right? Yeah. And I think that is it for today. Yeah, that was destructuring and spreading stuff. Let me know if you found that helpful. Hopefully that was actually QuickTips. That's the first one I do. So if it was a bit longer than a quick tip, yeah, I apologize. I'll try to keep it a little bit shorter next time. But yeah, hope you liked it, and see you in the next one.